fucking us up. But let's just go to Andariel. Look at that. If she does that poison, look how much damage she does to herself. But like, yeah, I don't like. It's fun when you stand in a big mob and everything dies. Like, those are champion packs. Doesn't matter. Think that these guys are just gonna wreck me, but watch. Good, he's not immune to physical. Watch. I can just stand here, and these are one of the toughest mobs in the game. Hey guys, Driven to Conquer here. This is Project Diablo 2 Season 5, Week 5. A little bit of a different video for this one. This is going to be talking about Thorns and the Thorns Paladin that we made this last week just for something different. Yeah, it was really fun. I was kind of hoping it'd be able to map better, but I'll explain a little bit more of kind of where we're at with it now. And for people who don't know what Thorns does in this mod, originally in LOD content, from what I understand, Thorns only worked when you were actually struck by a melee attack, not even arrows or ranged or anything like that. I think maybe it had some uses in PvP, but for the most part, it was pretty redundant thing. Even attacker takes damage, Thorns, pretty much the same thing. For Project Diablo 2 in this mod, the way that Thorns has been reworked is that Thorns will proc anytime you're attacked in general, not even if it's a successful attack by an enemy, and that includes ranged and blocked attack. So your Thorns goes off way more frequently, and they added a little more. It says flat damage, or it's percent. I forget if it's percent damage or if it's flat damage. Now they changed it to whatever opposite of whatever it was. Going through Nightmare to Hell, it was really fun. Hell kind of changed things a little bit. We had to rework it. Now this definitely isn't a starter character. I do not recommend doing it. This is something that we were able to gear ourselves up with the currency that we had from our Whirlwind Barb, and it was just a fun thing that I really wanted to mess around with this season, because I kind of tinkered with the last season, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll give it a good go. But this is where we've ended up. I'll go through the gear right now. Surprisingly, we don't even spec into our Thorns for the Paladin. This is what I've been using. I've been using Silence, which is going to give us up to a level 25 Thorns aura. Gives us +2 to all skills. The rest of the stats are kind of meaningless, other than that +50 all res, which is really nice. A little MF on it. I kind of wish the hit blinds target wasn't there, but regardless, we don't really use it. I've been really trying to just do not necessarily a pacifist Paladin. Sorry, cats are going crazy. Hope you can't hear that. I'm just kind of doing this in one take. I don't know what they're doing. Cats are going nuts. Anyway, this is our source of Thorns, just the aura itself. We'll go through the gear here, and you'll see where we're getting more attackers takes damage. This is just for physical damage reduction and magic damage reduction. A little bit of lifesteal for when we really need it. We socketed it with 2 orts. Unfortunately, I did not up this before I slammed it, so we only got 2 sockets. That's my fault. We are really just trying to stack on our gear the attacker takes damage. So we have a metal grid here, which is giving us more all resistances, and then attacker takes damages of 960. And that replenished life is actually really good for this build. This is one of our bigger sources of attacker takes damage. This is Spike Thorn, which we just punched a hole in it. We corrupted. We have enhanced damage on it, or excuse me, enhanced defense. We have 19% damage taken reduced. I think okay, yeah, then we added 7 physical damage reduced with that soul rune in there, and then based on it, character level, attacker takes damage is 2400, 2490 attacker takes damage. Very nice. Down we got Sandstorm Strex. There might be other boots that give attacker takes damage. I don't really know. Just good pair of boots overall. For this one, we got 499 attacker takes damage. We have a Carry On Wind that has a cannot be frozen slam on it. This is going to give us 249 attacker takes damage, as well as some defense against ranged attacks with that melee, or defense versus missiles. Blade Buckle is our belt for this one. We only has a dexterity slam, so no big deal on that one, but it's got some physical damage reduction on that, 5, and then we have attacker takes damage of 436, which is very nice. Moving over, we have a Nature's Peace. This is a perfect Nature's Peace that I'm too much of a pussy to slam, but this was a nice pickup. Actually got both these rings for really cheap. I think it was less than 2.5. And then just some laying of hands for... we got a slam on that block rate, so might as well make use of it. But like I said, we're not speccing into thorns on this build, just due to the fact that I think the way the thorns works is that this isn't going to stack with an aura. Unfortunately, it's whichever one has the highest level is going to override the other one. So level 24 thorns gives us about, I don't know, about 1,500 attacker takes damage in itself. But with all this gear combined, we sit at 6,657 attacker takes damage, which is plenty. It is a lot. You do a lot of damage, and that's not the problem with this build, isn't the damage. It's just that I don't know if this is intentional or intended to work this way. Some things just don't proc thorns as when I feel that they should. I'll go over the mob types that don't trigger it. As you can see here, we have 55%, I guess, out of 44% damage reduction with that 11 for magic reduction. We have tons and tons of all res, because literally I don't go in and attack things. I literally just go in and try to get them to hit me, and they pretty much die. If there's a physical immune, I will use my CT on swap. We actually got a really good call to arms on this one. We got 6 to battle orders and 5 to battle command, which was huge. I was really surprised to get that. But then I'll just use battle cry to break those physical immunes, and it actually helps and works pretty good. Shield is just something I threw in there. Don't even have anything in those sockets. Not a big deal. But yeah, this is really the kit and caboodle, the basic thing of where we've ended up. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even show the big thing, which was the steel carapace. Another huge part of our attacker takes damage, 1,400 on that, with a lot of physical damage reduction. Sorry, I missed that one on the thing. And then we got the +2 to all skills. I threw a hell in there because it requires like 230 strength to put this on without it, and I just don't really want to put that much strength into this build. I'd rather put it into vitality. You could use, let's see if I can find one here, a Gladiator's Bane, but the problem is that it's level 85, and we're only like level 82 or something for this. So this is also a very, good way. You got a lot of magic reduction on it, which you do take a lot of damage from magic in this build, but at the same time, like I said, Steel Carapace is kind of slept on. Steel Carapace is really good, and especially because it just gives you so much more. This is pretty much giving you 24, level 24 aura thorns just by itself. So anyway, we'll go over the skills. We're kind of in a weird spot with this due to the fact that I've respec so many times, just trying to kind of figure this thing out. We don't, I guess in this one, normally I would not put anything into offensive auras. Like I said, I messed up on this one. I didn't need to put any in here, and I just totally spaced. I think I was kind of trying to make a charge version of this to see how that worked, but it was kind of pointless. But really, max out Defiance. This is what we were pretty much going to have all the time on, just for more DR. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm actually max out Holy Shield. I was running this with a Smite variant, so I put a bunch of points into Smite to kind of for single target damage for certain things that just wasn't proccing thorns. And then, summon to charge. Like I said, we're in kind of a weird spot, but the main one that I would do is max Defiance. That's awesome. That actually helps your Holy Shield. And then put that on there, and then you could, I think Smite would probably be the best thing. Though you don't get any leech off of this. You could go over to Zeal, not really necessarily for damage, but just to be able to leech off of some stuff while they attack you and do damage to it that way. And then we got a point of Joust. But yeah, if I respec this, nothing into here at all. As weird as that might sound for a Thorns thing. And then we top out our max reses with putting points into here. I think is more beneficial than putting anything into offensive auras. As far as our stats, we had to put points into strength, a lot of points to get to be able to wear that armor. I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. Putting more points into dexterity so we can get max block chance, and then everything into vitality. And our reses are very, very nice. I'll just go show you real quick. And again, I'm not using the Merc for this one. I'm really just trying to make this as self-sufficient as possible. I don't want the Merc to be killing things. I really want to gauge how fast things are dying just by the attacker takes damage on my gear and that Thorns aura. So we'll switch it around. And I would love to know people's thoughts of how to improve this gear. So literally just go in, just let things kill themselves. As you see, ranged things are dying, no problem. Easy peasy. Like this mob type, like you could farm this all day. The Frigid Highlands thing, you could farm this all day. After this, I'll go into kind of the problems with Thorns with this mod. And I don't know if it's a problem that was intended to be, or maybe something they overlooked that maybe could be worked on or changed around. So say I wanted him to do a little more damage to himself, or as a physical immune, swap to CTA, battle cry, hope he attacked me faster. And he's dead. It actually took longer than normal. It's really interesting when it really does work, like Andariel's a good example, and Bloodraven's a good example. When it really works and it ticks a lot, their life just drains. It's nuts. But then in other things, it doesn't work at all. And it leaves you really exposed and you take a lot of damage. And that's why it doesn't really work well for mapping, because there's just this, amalgamy of mob types, this big variation of what you're going to run into. Not necessarily immunities, but just it always seems that there's one mob type in each map that that has an attack that won't trigger Thorns. And I don't know, again, if that's intentional to add difficulty, or it's difficult because they didn't mean it to be that way, or that it was an oversight or something like that. So one thing, the issue that you guys kind of saw is that it can be kind of slow when things don't attack you. I would love to see an item or a skill rework that was a taunt. Now this would be, in my opinion, a Thorns or attacker takes damage build would be it probably is so much better on a Barb, because you have taunt. You can just go in there, taunt everything up, get everything to attack you. If you run into a physical immune, use Concentrate or something, or Berserk, and just kill the thing. Albeit that unless it's a magical immune or something. You don't have that on Paladin at all. You don't have any form of taunt unless you use, which is what I was using in the very beginning, a myth. And I only get that when I'm striking. So I was going around hitting stuff, hoping to get that taunt, level 1 taunt, and then they would start attacking me. I use this forever. I use this all through hell, and it was fine. My gear, low level stuff was pretty simple. Anything that, even though it seems like a low number, 30 for attackers takes damage, in the early game from normal to nightmare, like it does a lot of damage. It did a lot, and this was really helpful. But this isn't enough for us now. This was just so we could get to our steel carapace. Once we start putting on these two items more specifically, Huge difference. Lots of damage in hell. Lots and lots. And this is totally viable. Like I can go around to, I can farm pit with this. Mephisto and Andariel, no problem. But then, like I said, there's those mob types that just don't proc it. And I'll go show you an example of this. I'm trying to think where I can find them. On Cold Plains, the Shamans, their fireball does not proc it. Look, these things are just going to one-shot themselves. These little things are going to one-shot themselves. But watch, when the Shaman hits me, we don't see anything. Nothing. Nothing at all. I have to go up to him, and then he one-shots himself with a melee attack. Now you might think that it's a casted ability, so obviously it's not going to do thorns damage. Well, there's a lot of mobs out there that do casting abilities where it does actually do the damage. Anything that shoots like charge bolts or lightning will do damage to themselves. Here in the catacombs, if I can find some of those fiends, hopefully. Here, let the fiends shoot their lightning at me. I don't want them to melee attack me. There, boom. So you shot the lightning at me. It'll do damage. But this fireball over here, it won't do anything. And I don't know if that's intentional or not. Now, when like in the glacial caverns, when these things shoot like cold bolts at you, they won't do damage either. So it's this specific mod type, the Shaman, doesn't do anything unless you get a physical attack done by it, which is unfortunate. Another mob type that seems to have problems with are the unraveled, those mummy things in Act 2. Their magic attack, that black kind of holy bolt colored thing that's just black that they shoot at you, that doesn't proc it. Ghoul lords, those life drain vampire kind of things, none of their attacks do it unless they actually melee swipe you, and those things do tons of damage against you. But their fireball doesn't do anything. You would think like, oh yeah, it sounds like all casting is doing it, except all the skeletal mages that you run into, whether they're lightning or they're fire or they're cold, shooting cold bolts at you, those will all take damage. Every single one of them, whether it's fire, lightning, or anything, they're all one shot themselves. Succubus that shoot the cheese balls at you, they all take damage. So I don't really know if this was a unintentional thing, that an oversight, or this is the way they want it to be, to where this thing isn't totally broken. Which again, I don't even feel it would be totally broken, especially on a paladin, because you just don't really have a way to group enemies together. There is no item other than that myth armor that's going to give taunt. I would love to see either a piece of gear that has just charges of taunt on it, or maybe even a skill, that there was a skill in Diablo 3 called Provoke that the Crusader had, where you could taunt people and you could crowd control them a little bit. I think that'd be a really cool thing. As for a spot where you could put it, maybe a helm or pair of gloves or something that would give you taunt charges, or maybe even a paladin shield that's more geared to it, that has attacker takes damage and that ability on it. It'd be kind of cool. But either way, something that's going to give you taunt to where you can get things to attack you rather than them meandering around, because sometimes they'll just run away forever, like the Fallen, or just, those spiders don't want to attack you sometimes. And it's really frustrating. It really just slows you down. Anyway, so we discussed the gear. We discussed mob types that don't really trigger it. I'm sure there's a couple more. Ones that don't trigger it are the Abyss Knights in Chaos Sanctuary. Getting cursed doesn't apply. Attacker takes damage. And those things really destroy you. Really, really problem, unless they're melee attacking you. But any of their attacks, magic attacks, poison attacks, anything, those don't trigger it, which is really strange. But the lightning bugs, when they start shooting their lightning, that triggers it. So there's just like this inconsistency I've noticed through mob types, that when they actually attack you or shoot you, with something that it just doesn't trigger it, and it makes it feel just a little bumpy, the play style of it, which it doesn't make sense that you could, you know, take down characters like Andariel, but then, you know, a shaman with a fireball is going to fuck you up more. And I don't think that's intentional, in my opinion. I'll go ahead and run to Andariel through this. These guys, unless they smack you, but their fireballs, like that projectile, doesn't do anything. But if that was a skeleton mage shooting a fireball at you, it would. I have to run all the way up to it. And so if there's a big group of them, these guys run away all the time too. That doesn't cost it. Yeah, he runs away. So I'd have to chase this one guy down. Or he can just decide to keep attacking me like that. Like, it's super frustrating. This little fireball guy's going to fuck me up, apparently, because it doesn't proc. Everything else is going to die, except for him because of the fireball, unless I run up to him. I hope he attacks me. There, now he's dead. But let's go to Andariel. That shaman was fucking us up, but let's just go to Andariel. Look at that. If she does that poison, look how much damage she does to herself. Though I might die here, just because there's too much shit around, but she's dead. Like, so, like I said, it just doesn't feel balanced. Thorns, at least, like, balanced as in, like, it's really powerful, but then, like, these random weird weak attacks will just destroy you. Only because it's not proccing thorns and killing them. I don't know. It just seems like maybe it was an oversight, or maybe that's how it's supposed to be. I would love to know. Hopefully one of the devs will see this, or the mods or something, and maybe I can get an answer, and maybe if it's working intended, that's just how it is. It's really fun to play. It really, really is. Like, I almost want to go to Blood Raven again. But you just can't map with it. It's way, way too slow. And especially with no form of crowd control or taunt or anything, things are just going to run around the map and not attack you for a long time. It'll take you hours to clear a map, just simply because they're just not going to hit you. If they're going to proc attacker takes damage or thorns on me, they're going to die. Let's go ahead and watch Blood Raven. Though I am about to lose my bow. There, get it back. I just don't want that to drop off and have that be the reason I'm dead. All these undead minions, which we all know, these things are, they hurt. Look, all that fire was proccing it. Like, I was standing in the fire and it was proccing it. I wish you would shoot some fire. Shoot one of your fire things. Problem is, when things like can summon stuff, sometimes they won't attack you, and they'll just get in a loop of just like re-summoning their stuff. The shamans do that a lot, and there's really nothing you can do. But these revived dead do a lot of damage, but it just doesn't matter. It's nice. They're proccing attacker takes damage and they're dying. All right, where'd she go? Please shoot your fire. See, she's just gonna sit there and revive. Can't see you. You're blending into the tree so well. Wow, she's not shooting her fire. If she shot her fire, it would proc it a lot. But, like, there it is. Oh, I don't want to stand in it. Nah, she's dead. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is, when it works really well, and when it doesn't, it's terrible. It just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like that's really what they were going for, in my opinion, but, you know, I'm not a developer. Real quick, I'll show you, you know, 6,600, thorns. If we take off our silence, which is giving us that level 24 thorns aura, we only lose 600 damage in thorns. Like, that's not that much. Like, to me, that's why I don't put any points into thorns. It's just not worth it. Even if you max thorns out at 20, which is less than this, 20 is only, 400 thorns. If you max out all the synergies, which is another 40 points into the 2 synergies, which is might and defiance, you're going to max defiance out anyway. But maybe it's 1,000 damage for thorns. It's really not worth it. I'd rather put that into DR, into defiance. I'd rather put that into maxing out my resistances with resist lightning and fire resist. So it's interesting. I don't know if maybe they should bump up the synergies for the Thorns aura. It might be viable then. I don't really know. But yeah, it's a really, really fun build. I like it a lot. It's just there's no way to taunt people to get you to attack them. Maybe I'm spacing. Maybe somebody who sees the video will have tips on how to improve this build. Maybe there's a piece of gear I'm not aware of that provides taunt, but everything that I've researched and looked into, I can't think of a single thing that gives taunt. And that's really, really what you want on this one. And then also for those certain mob types to actually trigger thorns. The Ghoul Lords, the Abyss Knights that shoot curses at you, I feel that they should proc them. The Shamans, whether the Ice Shamans or the Fireball ones, their fire doesn't do it. The Fireballs from the Ghoul Lords doesn't trigger it, even though the fire from Bloodraven does. Those Ghoul Lords don't. Casters, those weird caster ghosts in Chaos Sanctuary, they kind of do. And then they don't, like their mana burn thing doesn't proc it, but their like light attack does. It's very strange. Trying to think of other things that don't proc it. Let's see, Shamans, Ghoul Lords, Abyss Knights. Oh yeah, the Unraveled, the mummies. Their magic attack, their projectile doesn't trigger it, which I feel it should. You run into those guys, you're screwed. And yeah, I mean, like, I can go do throne rooms here. I'll go do throne rooms right now. These things, these projectiles will do it. Oh, that really hurts, though. Yikes. Those things really hurt. Those things hurt a lot. These little bat things. Woo. But like, yeah, it's fun when you stand in a big mob and everything dies. Like, those are champion packs, doesn't matter. But like these little guys, like, I'm pretty sure that's a magic attack that they do, maybe with a little bit of fire. Like those little demon imps, they trigger it, they proc it. But that's why I don't understand like why the Shaman's fireball doesn't trigger it. Watch, all these guys will, yeah, done. One shot. Excuse me. These guys, they don't trigger it. Tries, like, this guy is like my Achilles heel. Like, I just have to like run away from this guy. I can't do anything to him. This would be a good example. Okay, all these little shamans or these little fallen demons. Watch, die. But this is where you need the taunt to be able to taunt them, to get you to stay on you, and just, they die. This guy, when he smacks himself, he's dead. But his fireball, watch. Oh, he's just gonna res his dudes now. See, frustrating to play. These guys, like all their little skeleton guys are all gonna die. See, they're hitting me with the frostbolt. It kills them. But these guys' things doesn't do it. The black holy bolt doesn't do it. I walk up to him. If he smacks me, it will. And they're poisoned, just like Andariel will do it. But when you get into a big room and they all just, shoot a big volley of those black magic, orbs at you, you're toast. Now we got the Trav guys. You'll see how this works. They kind of do, and then they kind of don't at the same time. Woo! These things, they hurt a lot. That's a lot of fire damage, and I'm respect. Oof. But sometimes those guys will glitch out and they won't attack you. And they'll just stand there. And then, so you can't really pacifist your way there. We got these guys. What's their fire? You can hear it. Triggering with the fire, the flame breath. But it's kind of like, it's triggering, like with these guys' fire breath, but it's not doing, it's not continuously doing damage as much as it sounds like it is. Like, for as much as that's hitting, it should be going down a lot more. So unfortunately, I got a life leech off of these guys. One-on-one, when he does the big swing, takes himself out. Now you would think that these guys are just going to wreck me. But watch. Good, he's not immune to physical. Watch. I can just stand here. And these are one of the toughest mobs in the game. And I'm not even using Battle Cry. I'll throw a drink of pot here real quick. I mean, this is one of the toughest mobs of the game, but I get crushed by an Unraveler. I get crushed by a Shaman. I get crushed by an Abyss Knight just by throwing curses. I get crushed by, what are those other cool? The Ghoul Lords. Like, it just doesn't feel right. And really the only thing that I would need to really fix it, I feel, is if they proc properly, when they would hit you with those fireballs at least, or those magic orbs, or anytime they threw a curse at you that counted as an attack. See, that attack doesn't proc it. I feel it should, sending you into hit recovery, but it didn't do any damage to them. The only attack that doesn't do it, I feel it should, is that little tentacle attack. That's the only thing that procs it. I really feel that the lightning wave should proc it. And Bale just sometimes doesn't want to attack. So, like, what do you kind of do? I'm pretty sure that's his... Here's the real Bale. Like, it's just... But if it was proccing when he was shooting that stuff at you, it'd be great. Okay, I guess it does proc a little bit when he does that. Okay, it does. Interesting. I thought it didn't, but I think it should proc during that, for sure. That's a lot of damage he does. And you would think that if something sends you into hit recovery, it would proc attacker takes damage. But it doesn't. I mean, that's where his big source is coming from, but... It just makes this playstyle really, really inconsistent and bumpy. And I don't think that's a good thing for builds. Like Diablo's lightning thing, it takes a lot of life off. It takes a bunch of life. As you saw with Andariel's, it takes a bunch of life off. But for some reason, Bale, not so much. So as much as I want it to be like a pacifist paladin, like we took all that off from not doing anything. It's like you're kind of forced to have to run Zeal or Smite or something just to kind of speed things up a little bit. He doesn't want to attack. It'd be nice to be able to have a taunt that, get him to just stay in place. Because when he starts hitting me a bunch, yeah, his life will go down. But then he'll just decide to do kind of other things. Nice, kind of got him in a little loop here. You'll see that his life goes down, but chasing these guys around. Yeah, that really, that wave, that frost wave, a cold wave definitely should. Okay, his fire does proc it. That's good to know. When he throws a curse on you, it doesn't. So when you get curses thrown on you, it doesn't proc it, which I feel it should. Of course you need mana. I don't know which one's the real one. It's probably this one. I'll switch to prayer sometimes just for some life regen. This is where that replenished life on your gear really helps. I think I only have like 45 or something. Oh, that's the fake one. But yeah, if that was proccing it, when I was getting hit by that, I'd be doing tons of damage. It'd be almost worth it to get hit by that thing. Which that's how I kind of feel you would want a Thorns build to be, is like taking damage can be an opportunity sometimes. I mean, it's still really impressive that we've taken Bale down without hitting him once. But damn, is it frustrating. See, not proccing it at all. And then he doesn't want to attack sometimes. Now he does. Then he goes away. That doesn't proc it. That doesn't proc it. Like, best case scenario, you just get him in a loop where he just keeps hitting you over and over. See, it's not proccing it at all. I wish it was. Come on, keep doing it. Doesn't proc it. Doesn't proc it. Doesn't proc it. Doesn't proc it. Come on, dude. See, like, if it was proccing the attacker takes damage, man, he'd be dead. Doesn't proc it. And then he'll just sit there. That procs it a little bit. That doesn't proc it. So yeah, having a taunt or a provoke, like from D3, would be really cool. That can maybe like aggro some mobs, just to speed things up and make it more consistent. That's what I would really love to see. Just like a pair of gloves that has like taunt charges or something. Or maybe even a new skill that's just pretty much taunt, but maybe like for the Paladin, call it provoke or whatever the hell. I should probably just go get these because I don't want to die in a video. That would be embarrassing. I'm filming a YouTube video right now, guys. People are hanging out wondering why I'm just like rambling right now. Almost done with it. But yeah, I'd love to hear how people would improve upon this Thorns build or other ideas. Because I would love to just have a pure pacifist Paladin that doesn't attack, that, you know, maybe you're really trying to get replenish life on every piece of your gear. But things just need to proc. And it feels really bad when it's in, because you want to run into a big mob and have them all attack you, but if there's like Shamans or the Abyss Knights or the Ghoul Lords in there, you're just going to run in and die, despite having tons and tons of DR and tons of resistances. Like, we're capped completely. You know, just some more max res, we're good. Bale's almost dead finally. But yeah, when they don't want to attack, they don't want to die. So there you go. Just keep doing that. No, not that. Do the other one. But yeah, when the Ghoul Lords run away or the Fallen run away, man, it is so frustrating. Can you like get away from the thing? I don't want to click on it. There, that killed him. Okay. So that proved that it does proc it. So we just killed Bale without hitting him once. 6,600. Attacker takes damage with only our thorns coming from the silence. Which honestly is a pretty cheap rune word. Like, all you need is a Vex. Oh, excuse me. Ist and a Vex. That's all you need. Pretty cheap. I wish that this didn't have hit blinds target, so when you did have to leech, you wouldn't be blinding targets, because then it won't proc thorns because they're blind. They won't hit you. But I don't this is where our thorns aura comes from. Like, that's it. That's all you need. Because again, if you look, sorry, bump my mic. Take this off, you're only losing 600 thorns damage, 650 with a level 25. So even with like a level like 40 thorns, you know, that's like 1200 damage. That's less attacker takes damage than the shield gives us. So maybe there's something that could be reworked there. I really don't think like the damage is the issue. It's just the consistency on how it's dealt. And that is, you know, being able to fix the shamans procking it when they hit you with their fireball, fixing it where the Ghoul Lords fireballs and flame attacks proc attacker takes damage it. The Unraveled, their black orb magic attack, that should proc it, because their poison breath does. The Doom Knights or the Abyss Knights, when they shoot their projectiles at you and they throw curses on you, when you get a curse thrown on you, that should count as an attack. And that would really help. And then on top of it, the other thing that would really help for this build is having some ability to cast Taunt. Whether it's charges in a pair of gloves would be a good spot, or a helm would be a good spot, or maybe a custom shield that has attacker takes damage and it has that ability on it. Or a new ability called Provoke or something that would be pretty much just Taunt, to be able to crowd control mobs, to be able to, you know, focus them on you, because this would be a really good thing to have in a group. Honestly, group play would be great. Just to have something that just tanks a bunch of damage and stuff like that. So those are my suggestions. We're pretty geared out for the most part. Like I said, this is the stuff that you want. All of our damage is coming from our gear, mainly these two pieces. You know, Metal Grid has a fair amount too. And then this is just for DR and the magic reduction. And again, we're not leeching. If you wanted to do a thing where, like, you know, you're leeching with Zeal or something, it's even more survivability. But it doesn't really matter if all the mobs are running around, like, not attacking you. You need something to pull them into you, like a taunt. So hands down, the Barb is better, because you can put all his gear on a Barb and you're gonna have this same amount of same amount of thorns. It's not like unique to the Paladin. So I think it would be cool if it was a little bit more unique to the Paladin, either by boosting. I can't say boost the damage of thorns, because I feel the damage is fine. It's just how it procs. So that's the way I would change it for me. So that's my little thorn spiel. You know, you saw the things that didn't proc it. Saw that, you know, when a mob type would would proc it, even as Andariel or something, like it would do tremendous amounts of damage. But when a simple shaman won't, you know, hits you with a fireball and that doesn't proc it, he could kill you, which is just kind of crazy. But anyway, guys, thanks for you know, sitting through this. If you're interested or have any questions, leave comments below and let me know how you could tweak this build or what you would like to see for thorns. Or if there's any way that, you know, maybe a mod sees this or Project Diablo 2 dev sees this, maybe they can answer some of those questions onto why some of those mobs like the Shaman, the Unraveler, the Ghoul Lord, and the Abyss Knights don't proc thorns on their abilities, and if that's intentional or unintentional. But either way, guys, appreciate it, and I will have another video coming later this week about some Chaos Sync runs. Thank you.